I'm thinking tomorrow.
You think tomorrow, yeah?
Okay, yeah, I think my mom might have something like, it's really rough though.
Okay.
Are you having contractions yet or no? Like massive.
I know, yeah, well, I have a doctor's appointment, so she's at work.
She's having blood.
Thanks, I have to pick up with that.
She's daughter blood.
How many sets?
Hey, we might need more to share.
So probably don't need it all. We're gonna go up, I can't read. This is what golf is like, probably it's south.
Yes.
Yeah. thanks.
It's not here, speaking here, what got 4 years ago, you guys listen.
I mean, we can put some over here.
Hi, sure.
We need more? We got some more over here. Chairs if we need them. Got one right here.
Hi, there, yeah.
Okay. Everybody got a seat? Everybody situated? Almost getting close. Okay, let's call to order the town council meeting for September 3rd, 2025. Call to order and roll call, John.
Councilmember Miles. Councilmember Wellman is excused. Councilmember Janice. Councilmember Lisi.
Here.
Councilmember Roth.
Here.
Mayor McLean.
Here,
You have a quorum.
we have a quorum. Okay, first on the agenda is PBSO. We have our newly assigned to our area deputy
Is it the desk?
Jason, right? Jason?
Jay's easier.
Okay, Jay.
Deputy Exxon Sheriff's Office, Jay. This is a real easy note for the area, actually very decent. Not much of anything considered like crime wise, so that's very good. Just a lot of business checks, meaning the sheriff's office will come through, residential business checks come through, just check the area. You got a couple of civil processes in the area, random police calls, and that's pretty much it. So very good neighborhood. for that matter.
Right.
Yeah. and she-
A quick question.
Yeah.
What warrants a welfare check?
Well, welfare check is if it can be a call to the next, you have like a loved one and they haven't heard from them in a while.
Yeah.
And somebody's calling from out of state or whatever, they're not answering, the person's not answering the call.
It's basically, we have a resident from time to time that, other residents are concerned because what once well-kept yard is not, and we don't see much movement.
Right.
And, I just didn't know what warrants contacting officials. I mean, in the last time it came up, I left it in the mailbox and it was retrieved and then I saw him a few days later. So, it's a very private person anyway. I just wondered if there's any.
That's a good clue too, like, when they're not checking the mail, you see. Yeah.
Well, that's like I said, I put the letter in and I checked later and it was gone. So, I mean, I knew he got it and offered assistance, wanted to know if he had a question. I even had a resident contact me this week and wanted to know if there was a problem, offered him his yard if he needed to, so.
You can always call us and we can always.
Okay, just kind of a non-emergency and say when someone.
Not the store, I mean, we can't barge in or anything, but
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard, we don't want to intrude either, so.
yeah, but you can always call us for that, especially.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions or comments for the deputy?
We have another crash at the intersection
When,
a couple weeks ago.
Couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
oh, you say when?
I'd say a couple weeks ago, since the last meeting that we had. That may not show up on our.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
on our-
don't-
because
it's
it's unincorporated Palm Beach.
Actually, I pulled up for next, the other neighborhood next door,
Oh, nice.
just in case, let me see if it's on that. They don't say anything about crashes, so it's not,
Yeah, it was probably more an internal Glen Ridge Road Then
So was it on
State Road after.
Southern.
Right at the intersection.
Southern and,
Donald Trump Boulevard and Gem Lake.
okay, so right
And it
there.
was after the tragedy that occurred on Cloud Lake. It was just a little while after.
So nothing registered in here though, so.
Just curious.
Not uncommon. All right, no questions. Thank you very much.
Take care of.
Well,
Thank you, thank you.
stay safe.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we do not have, fire rescue tonight. They had a budget hearing, so. The next thing up is our public hearing, and this is for the matter of Diamond C. B Diamond LLC, which is represented by Latanya Young here, and this concerns a special exception and a variance for the property over on Summit Boulevard, which is now where the existing billboard is. And she has a presentation for us. The scope of it is to remove all of the existing antennas, and then their request is to put up their own pole. We have, the towers are there now, they're just on the billboard. So what she's gonna do is do a presentation. I think it's gonna show up on the wall over here. Do we need to turn the lights down?
We do not,
Okay.
I
And,
might move this a little bit, I don't want
That's
it
fine.
glare.
and what I would ask is just everyone, please just let the presentation present itself. And if you have questions, just jot them down, hold them. Because the question you have may be answered before the presentation's over. And then afterwards, we'll open it up, for any questions and comments concerning the two issues at hand. Okay.
Oh, no, you're good. I just don't want to glare. So,
Andrew.
Yeah.
you're wrong. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Antonia John. 935 Main Street, Suite C4, Safety Harbor, Florida 34695. And just thank you all for bearing with me while I bring this projector up. I do have a PowerPoint presentation so I can show essentially the reason why this request is coming in. So as was mentioned, this is a special exception and variance request to replace the existing antennas that are on the existing 92-foot tall billboard with a communication tower, a monopole style communication tower, which basically has a pole like the billboard would. It would be located in between the B, and it would be 124 feet. I'd say 124 feet because the last 4 feet are lightning round. This allows Verizon and T-Mobile to move their antennas from down at the 77-foot mark, which is the highest antenna. T-Mobile's below there, up to 110 feet. And because antennas, the cellular antennas work on a line of sight basis, essentially, they're like walkie-talkies, all right? Things like trees scatter them. So even if you don't have a direct line of sight to the antenna being above those trees and having fewer to weave their way through, means that it covers a larger area. And that's just like the lights in this room. These recessed can lights, they cover a certain portion of the floor. If you bring them closer to the floor, they'll cover a smaller area. So that's why they're requesting the additional height. How am I doing with my ad-libbing as I try to set this up?
Doing great.
So as you heard, so the special exception is to allow it to be a freestanding monopole, and that's so that they can, instead of trying to attach an extension or use some type of provision for co-location on the billboard and have something sprout out of the top of it, they can just build a brand new structure that is rated to the current Florida building code. And it would be in the same location. I apologize for my pause here. This be cut off, but. And is everyone able to see this? Is there any?
Got it. You guys see, everyone's doing it.
All right. So this is at the southern end of Glen Ridge on C1 zone land. And it's south of Summit Boulevard, west of the West Palm Beach Canal, and east of the I-95 Tri-Rail corridor. So it's as far away from other development within the city as you can get, or within the town. And you can see it highlighted here on this map. This is an aerial map. And you can see the parent parcel is the blue triangle. In all the maps that I showed today, how will be facing north. I did apply a couple arrows just to help show the location of the. All right, so. This is just a closer aerial, and you can see one thing about this property is that towards the west, there's trees on the property. And especially when you're talking about a communication tower of this height, that adds a lot of buffering. Now, a lot of that is to neighbors who are outside the town limits, but it obviously is sensitive to everyone. As you look north, you can see that as you move into the town of Glen Ridge, and I spent some time just driving the area and looking through the area, you have very tight sight lines. You guys have an immense urban canopy, and it works. You know, there's a lot of benefits from urban planning. I could go indulge my nerd side about that, about heat islands, but the nice thing is that it also functions to buffer the monopole from your residential uses. And basically this would be located on a cleared portion of the property right behind the billboard. It's literally as close as you can get without sticking it in between the faces. That V shape is the billboard. And it would add, there would be an additional 475 square feet of compound, which is the fenced equipment area at the base where the computers are. So there's no clearing of the land, there's no mass filling, and obviously that's a sensitive item since, especially as you move south, you have floodplain. So this avoids that impact. This is C1 zoning. I would respectfully submit that when you're looking at infrastructure uses like this, and that's what a communication tower is. It provides, cellular service, and cellular service is your phone. It is this laptop. It's a whole variety of ways to connect. And we use in our daily life, whether you're making a phone call, or earlier today I did a Zoom meeting from the car via the cellular network, or making a Zoom connection for class, or getting on the property appraiser's website to pay your taxes on your phone, things like that. It's our full connection exists. So when you think about that, your infrastructure use, it's right up towards other infrastructure uses, the rail corridor and the I-95 corridor. So this is the existing billboard, and this is just a shot from behind. And you can see the antennas below it right now. And really the restriction with it right now, it's kind of a double-sided thing, because most communication towers are not under 100 feet because they just run into a problem with scatter from the existing vegetation. But it's even more compounded by the fact that they can't transmit through the billboard faces because there's angle iron up there, and that acts like, to basically go back to high school physics, it's a Faraday cage essentially. It scatters signal and blocks it. It's a little monopole style communication tower, and what you're seeing right here is a 150-foot tall version of it. So it's actually almost 30 feet taller than what you would be seeing. But a monopole is a simple dull gray finish, a single support pole, no external guy wires or ironworks. There are external antennas at the top, and that's to allow the antennas to have the airflow that they need and to be able to be aimed in the right directions. This is sheet C7 from the plans. This just shows a side-by-side comparison of the two structures. And you can see, it won't be south of it, it would be right where the support pole for the monopole would be, but for visual purposes, it's been set off to the side. Nothing's changing down below as far as the equipment, except there is an existing shelter, which is like a small building that will be removed and replaced with traffic cabinet size equipment cabinets. The base is fenced in. So the top co-location will be Verizon. Immediately beneath that will be T-Mobile. And you can see on the left-hand side, your existing antennas, the maximum height is 77 feet. So it's literally just physics while we are here. This is the floodplain. So as you can see, this property, a lot of it is floodplain. The area where we're constructing is already filled, except for 475 square foot area. We will go through your site plan process. We will be back hopefully in the next month. We'll also have to provide the stormwater calculations to show that 475 square feet gravel doesn't cause any additional flooding. The way the state rules work on that is if you displace, let's say you displace a cubic foot of water, you have to add a swale on the property to put the cubic foot of water in. Running through, this just shows the setback from the parent property. We meet all the C1 setbacks. We're not resisting any variances from any of that. The only variance is for the height. Again, that's just because of the physics. And then this is the equipment at the base. And you can see on the right-hand side, if I can get my mouse over there, the support for the billboard. And then right over here is the support, is the cell tower. And you can see they're fairly analogous. It would be lined up directly with the center line of the cell tower, snug as close as you can get in there. And then you have your fenced equipment area. Just running through RFE. So you can see Verizon's, you can see a white circle in the middle, and that is the proposed, that's the proposed monopole on Summit Boulevard. And then you can see that there's a number of towers that are around the area. So there's one up north at the Hilton, and then of course you can move out to the east and down to the south. The only tower in the area that Verizon is not on is on the FEC Railway Corridor, almost a mile away to the northeast. And it's hanging out right here. And basically it's very close to the other Verizon co-location. So you have the problem that physics means the signal can't reach from there. And the two would be talking over each other. It would be like if I had myself and Cameron Lee sitting here trying to talk to you at the same time from the same location. You can see the proposed coverage. The green is reliable everywhere. Red, you're going down in your reliability. So it, wouldn't be working indoors. It might work in your car. It might work if you're standing by a window. It would work if you're outside, things like that. And you can see that the coverage here, you can see that right about where I'm pointing is Churchill. So for raw coverage purposes, this would cover the south end of town, including Churchill, or all the way up to Churchill. It would also catch the school. The other thing that I can't show you on maps is something called capacity, but we experience it every day with roads. Basically, the cellular industry fights the exact same battles that FDOT and all of our local municipalities fight with concurrency. Everyone's moving into Florida. We're trying to keep up with the increasing traffic. So basically, instead of before, you have, the Forest Hill Tower, the Pope Lane Tower trying to reach out right? And gun club tower trying to reach out, and they're already got people around them that are grabbing onto those towers. There's a dedicated tower on the south end of town providing capacity. Just running through some of my housekeeping. Of course, the mall pool will have a dull gray finish. It has received its FAA determination of no hazard to air navigation. And what happens is that an airspace study is sent off with the exact location of the monopole and its proposed height to the FAA. They consult the local airports, in this case Palm Beach, and review it for airspace and review it for interactions with the air traffic in the area. It has been determined to be safe. It's not a hazard to air navigation. One more thing I would like to bring to your attention is that Palm Beach County, and this is the FAA determination of no hazard to air navigation that is already on file. Palm Beach County 911, they report that almost 80% of all 911 calls come from wireless numbers. And that just goes back to what I was talking about anecdotally. We use cellular connections for everything. So at the end of the day, this is just taking an existing co-location and giving it the ability to catch up, and also giving the ability for a second carrier to use it. So this is needed by both Verizon and T-Mobile, and we would respectfully request approval. I did receive 2 objections prior to the hearing. One person was discussing concerns about environmental effects on animals. When you look at this, I'm bringing this up because if I don't put the Telecom Act of 1996 in the record, I've got a malpractice issue. But basically, this is the old TV spectrum. So you're talking about stuff that is regulated by the FCC and is lower energy that you see than, even a wireless router. And that's why the FCC grants that. I did go a little bit long on that just because for the benefit of people, the public in the room. I would respectfully submit that any discussion of wireless emissions is not substantial evidence for you to base a decision upon. And I'll take and give a copy of the Telecom Act over. There was also a second email from a Kevin Wellman, and I would just like to point out that the work for competing September. With that, I conclude my presentation. I do reserve time to discuss after all the questions come forward. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, very good. All right, so let's start with the council. Any council questions for the attorney?
For the attorneys, but the attorney's going to say, please identify yourself for the court reporter so that you can try to get your names along with your testimony and your records that look like a jumbled mess.
Councilwoman Jan, I have a question, 2 questions. One question, with regard to animals, like you had said, say for instance, like so when I first saw it, when I looked at the example of the monopole that was a bit higher, it almost looked like the perfect place for like an osprey nest. So in the event that an animal such as like an osprey would choose that location for a nest, what would be the outcome of that nest? Like would that be removed or?
So that's not John, and osprey are a protected species, and with cell towers basically being a national infrastructure project that puts us under the jurisdiction of the National Environmental Policy Act, which means that when there's endangered species, we cannot impact them. So if an osprey were to nest up there, and there's some jurisdictions that they assume that and they require us to put a nest up there.
It looked like a nest like that.
You can't climb the tower unless there was like a life safety wellness emergency. You can't climb the tower during nesting season.
Got it.
So
Taylor Dance, Councilwoman, second question. So you talk about climbing the tower. So is it, are they accessing the top of it, whomever the technicians are, like via a ladder that's on the side of the monopool? And what is to stop, say, like a teenager or the general public from like bearing over your fencing and climbing this center?
Absolutely, Matt Snyder, John again. And so there's a couple of different layers of protection there. And the first is that the fence is a 6 foot tall chain link fence, hardwire on top. It's what's there right now. So, you know, it's my understanding that the billboard doesn't currently have a climbing problem. If there was, you'd be seeing an upside down cone. That's like what they do on Atlanta. In
Okay.
Atlanta. So I would submit that's already doing its job, but the monopole goes a step further because the way that you climb it
Mhm.
is climbing pegs.
Mhm.
So which aren't the most comfortable thing to climb because they're basically like climbing bolts.
Mhm.
And those start a good 20 feet up. So you would have, it would be a bring your own ladder party to try to get to the top of this thing.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next question?
Yeah.
Alright. Next, item.
Concerns related to.
Okay, who are you? Introduce yourself.
Thomas Lacy, council member.
I Googled just the topic of 5G when it comes to its impact on wildlife. And the AI overview that was presented, I'd like to read it. 5G deployment may affect the environment by increasing radiation exposure to wildlife. And this is AI overview, so I don't know the actual source. Which studies show that it can harm insects, bees, and birds, leading to behavioral and reproductive issues. The extensive manufacturing of new infrastructure and devices for 5G, as well as the increased energy consumption, also contribute to environmental impacts and climate change. Impacts on wildlife plants are as follows: insects. Studies on insects, including honeybees, which are, as we know, the foundation of our ecosystem, not just to eat honey, but as our main pollinator, indicate that higher frequencies in the 5G spectrum are absorbed more easily, leading to detrimental effects on their behavior, health, and navigation systems. With respect to birds, research suggests that cell tower radiation can disfigure eggs and disturb nesting, breeding, and roosting behaviors in birds. Furthermore, electromagnetic fields can disrupt birds' navigation systems and circadian rhythms, affecting their migration patterns. With respect to plants, field studies and reviews have found that cell tower radiation has significant physiological and morphological effects on trees and other plants. In regards to fish, research on zebrafish exposed to 3.5 GHz frequencies has indicated potential long-term behavioral effects. And I would add to this that this community, as well as our sister town of Cloud Lake, are both registered bird sanctuaries with the Audubon Society. It's on our letterhead. In my opinion, if this is accurate, this is incompatible with our designation as a bird sanctuary, despite the fact that it's already there. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate your presentation. I also hold a degree in environmental science from Syracuse University. So I'm very passionate when it comes to protecting the environment because the environment is not separate from us. We live in the environment and we are animals. We are human beings, but we belong to the kingdom Animalia. So we are impacted. So an environmental indicator is something like when DDT came along and the industry said DDT is perfectly fine. It's safe, spray it for mosquitoes. Years later, we find out the eggshells of the birds are becoming thin because of DDT application and the birds are dying. All of a sudden it becomes banned. Another case in point, asbestos. Another case in point, Agent Orange. Another case in point, Roundup. These are all chemicals and compounds, but the insidious thing about this technology is that we can't see it, smell it, touch it, hear it, or taste it. It's just, it's out there and we don't know what effect it's having because it hasn't been out there that long. Whereas 3G and 4G, from what I understand, have a much broader wavelength. 5G is much more intense radiation. I also have another article that I read that says the vulnerability of children, because children, as we know, are not adults. Their bodies are much more sensitive. Their brains are still developing. And I find it really shocking, actually, that the tower that is there now, if it was approved by the former council, this is not the same council. Every member on this council is here from the former council, is directly across the street from a school with kids. And the beams are going right into the school.
And I was always there at the time.
Well, it is now, right?
I don't
And
know if
with
it
all
was
due
or not.
respect, you gave a great presentation. I'm not being disrespectful to you. You have good energy, but we need as a council to take these things into consideration, not just because we're a bird sanctuary and bird enthusiasts among some of us. But if it is impacting the birds and it is impacting the bees, guess what? It's probably impacting our bodies, but it can't be proven yet because it hasn't been long enough. And my question, here's one of my questions. Why can't you guys just continue with 4G and put a 4G up on the pole instead of a 5G?
So, Matt and I, John. So to start with, I would take and reiterate to the council that everything that was heard there isn't substantial evidence. That is something that is preempted, and I need to say that for my malpractice reasons, okay? So I don't give an insurance.
Can I interject one thing, sir? How is your position substantiated on scientific, unbiased scientific opinion? If you're saying that, and I don't want to get into a debate with you, but just thinking out of the box, if someone was an arbitrator here and they said to you, well, how do we know that your position is 100% accurate? What is your true scientific evidence? So I don't know.
I think she's
Yeah.
getting ready to clarify that.
So, if you would like to hear, I mean, I can bring a Lawrence engineer in if you would like to hear more on this, but
I'm talking about a biologist, but a biologist, not an engineer.
and those are subjects that are specifically preempted. But one thing that I can say, when you're talking about things like the 3.5 gigahertz, the 3,500 megahertz, that's the type of signal that is used in things called small cell deployments. You see those in, the little miniature towers that show up in people's front yards and along streets and stuff. So the frequency that you're concerned about doesn't get deployed on a macro site like this because it just can't propagate. It's a very short distance. It's a short distance, high traffic flow type signal. Even then, it's compliant with the FCC's safety guidelines and requirements, which they renewed in 2020. They went back and they restudied it, and that's why that continues along. When you hear 5G and the regular tower aspect, what you're hearing is a more efficient use of the existing 4G signal for the
I
most.
thought they were totally different.
No,
You sell in 5G, and the wavelengths are much more powerful, one is shorter, from what I understand. It's vastly different after reading articles from 3G and 4G.
that is incorrect. I understand that an AI data center pops this out but there is 5G signal, right, that people hear about and they go, it's 2,500 megahertz or whatever. That doesn't get deployed here. What you have here is your 4G type signal used in a different way, the way they chop it up and use it. It can't handle as much signal loss. There's always signal loss with your 3G and 4G system, right? You send signal out, data packets come, some get lost along the way. It's the same thing with your 4 and 5G. But the thing is, each time that you go up, when you go up from 4G to 5G, the way that it processes that means that it can handle less loss of data because it's giving less for each section to use, for each user to use. And I would take and, Councilman Gibbon, are you functioning as the town clerk or who do I submit a copy of?
To the town clerk.
Me,
My apologies.
Good job.
Okay.
Let's see, if we got other questions. Layla, do you have any?
I don't know that she's done with,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
we were talking about preemption before on Doug Mackey, the town attorney. And what is preempting his arguments? So we have a better understanding of this.
So it's the Telecom Act of 1996. It is the federal law. It is codified at 47 USC 332. And at section it's 332 7C. Being a federal law, it is section 7B. No state or local government or instrumentality may regulate the placement, construction, and modification of personal wireless service facilities on the basis of environmental effects of radio frequency emissions to the extent that such facilities comply with the commission's regulations concerning such emissions. Verizon and T-Mobile maintain their networks in compliance with the FCC regulations. If you do not trust what I have to say as an officer of the court, I would request a continuance so I can bring in an engineer to testify under.
I'm not pursuing that. No, and then back to Attorney Mackey, I just want to understand, or the council to understand the legal ramifications of this. That means that the legislators in the House and the Senate have passed a law that says, screw the towns and the counties, you can't complain about this stuff for these reasons. And that, which she read, were the reasons we were talking about. So while they may be practical and real reasons, the federal government says they are not an excuse to deny.
Like the right to abstain if we take a vote.
You have the right to abstain at any time, of course. I'm just saying that according to the Federal Telecom Act, I actually tried a case under the Federal Telecom Act and won it.
you have to
You don't
vote.
really have grounds to.
No, that is. You would have to put in writing prior to the
Yeah,
whole discussion that you wanted to abstain. According to Florida State statute, if we take a vote tonight.
we'd probably take a vote tonight.
You can still vote nay.
But you cannot legally base it on that.
Can we base it on the opinion
I'm,
of constituents? No. If our
If our constituents are using environmental concerns
Health concerns.
and health concerns as the basis for our denial, I'm gonna lose a case in court.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I'm telling you. I'm not saying that you're
No, there's
concerned
no,
about,
just asking the question.
I'm just saying that according to federal law, we are preempted from using those criteria to deny these things. It's just like our lovely people in Tallahassee who tell us you can't regulate, what is it, short-term rentals,
Oh, yeah.
which is another town concern. The only thing you can do to them is make them do a business tax receipt, not because they're a problem, not because they're.
Let's stick to the subject.
No, but I'm just saying as an example, that is state preempting, the feds have preempted that level of use of that as a justification for not doing
Steve, any questions or comments from you? From the public? Patrick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're gonna bring it to Patrick. I'm sorry, Patrick. Let's start with Pat.
it. For the court reporter, please spell your full name. Yeah, Patrick McCutcheon.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Pat McCutcheon.
What was that?
MCCUTCHEON.
See, this.
E-O-N.
Thank you very much.
Is any income generators?
And generated from the, or the, who's getting the income from it?
Property.
Okay, I'm sorry. Your name, man.
Clara,
Thank you.
who's getting the income from?
It's the property owner and the income from, the town.
Could we get a second? I'm Clara, I have a comment also. Could we get a second opinion, like from another firm, like Lewis London and Walker, deals with environmental things all the time? They're here in downtown, they deal at a state level, because, if that be the case, move that monopole to Gerhart Zoo. It's right next door. It's 100 feet across or 200 feet across I-95. We're gonna have to be, someone like Patty or Pat Fahey's, they're gonna have to be looking at the monstrosity sticking out, which is 12 stories. Well, actually, if it's 124, yeah, that's 12 stories. Why can't we get a second opinion?
Well, I mean, I think
from an
that on
attorney
behalf,
safely
just to
deals with
try and
that?
answer your question, is my understanding, this is of course from the property owner, yes, no?
Brent and I, John again. And so, I mean, this is an existing facility and it has all of the equipment there. So they started off almost like what I would call a section 6409 co-location. It probably did at the very beginning, which is the idea that you can add additional antennas to a structure and increase its height. And then going into that, the thought process became, let's construct an independent structure instead of trying to tack on to this existing billboard. You know,
I continue to, my point is that, did somebody get money
Yes.
Property owner.
Yeah, property.
and are they assuming all the liability?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Because we've only got $200,000 cash.
we have no responsibility involved in this property whatsoever.
The other thing is they're talking about, coverability here in Glen Ridge. I have T-Mobile. I live on Churchill. I would venture to say that 90% of us in this room have Wi-Fi. But even without accessing my phone onto the Wi-Fi, I have no issues whatsoever with my T-Mobile anywhere in Glen Ridge. Actually, it's better here than my other property. I still think that we need to seek or get a second opinion from an environmental attorney because, it's unsightly. I would hate to come out my backyard and see that hideous hole sticking out there. Or quite honestly,
Would be like 35 feet above the stone wall. Yeah. So noted, let's just get a few more questions.
How did we?
Name.
Bob Jones.
Bob Jones.
thank you.
Yes. How did we deny or stop the tower that was going to be built between my house and Jack's at 1295? Between 1285 and 1295 Glen Road. Can we review that? If we were able to stop that tower, why can't we stop this one?
Well, I think that was a tower that was installed without site plan, permission, review. And at the time, it was new, right there in the middle, in residential. And it was installed without any permitting or anything. It was a different council, a different time.
Yeah, they tried to put the tower there and Apple, so to speak, and figured out what they were doing. That was not.
That was a different history. Patrick?
Yeah.
Patrick Bay.
Quick question.
That's
already
BJ,
Patrick
BJ, yes.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Patrick.
That tower already has 5G, right?
no.
No.
Okay, Patrick. No, I was just filling her name for you.
That tower already has 5G, no?
So Matt and I, John again, and all existing towers at this point are configured for 5G.
Yeah, but it's emitting 5G, correct? That's what my T-Mobile does. Yeah. So the only issue we have here, people, is that they want to build a separate tower. It's gotta be smaller. It's,
Yeah, I got the property owner today.
yeah, listen, It's here, it's been here. That 5G, that tower's been here, it's been operating for years now, right? So these are the facts. And the facts are, if they want to put a tower right there at the Airport Hilton, we got no say so at all. They're gonna do it. And it's gonna be however high they want to put it, wherever 5G is, whatever's coming out. It's already here. 5G's already here. So the biggest question we have is, that's not a separate tower. It's just a height issue. We can talk about radiation and all these other things. It's got nothing to do with the tower itself. So we need to focus on the height of the tower. Either it's gonna be allowed or it's not. You know, we wouldn't be here if it was, we wouldn't even be here if there was built that are the same height as the billboard. And they were moving everything over to it.
Well, there's two different issues. One is the special exception because the property, the zoning does not specifically say that that is allowed, that pole. I mean, when the zoning was changed to accommodate the billboard, it was one billboard, and there were approvals done for those towers there.
Okay.
The special exception is to allow another pole. And then the second issue is the variance, and the variance
Is the height.
is the height,
Okay.
correct?
Okay.
So the very first issue is whether to allow the pole to be installed.
Right. Yeah, and
And like you say,
agree with that. I'm fine with the pole.
and it's, I mean, like you say, the antennas are there.
They're big. We've been having it here for years, everybody, for years. You just don't know it. We've had it. So that's the thing. It's not like we're trying to kill the 5G. It's gonna be there. If it's not gonna be there, it's gonna be here, and we're still gonna get it. And so the question is, the extra 35 won't be up in the air. That's it. That's pretty more. That's it. That's
Patty,
And-
with question.
I know it's been there for years.
And
Patty Rainbow. I know it's been there for years, and I also know that we've had like 7 residents die of cancer. So, that I know, my husband being one of them,
And I have cancer.
and that's really close to my house, and I'm very concerned about the, you know, and not to mention, there's the school right there, my grandkids go there.
You should do it for the
deal.
And honestly, how many people in the back part of Glen Ridge is on cancer, so we don't need a higher pole to, I would imagine that it would reach us even more so, if it is higher. I buy all organic food, natural food, and then I'm gonna have this thing behind me. And it's bad enough I have the power pole behind me. This is like really, really, really concerning.
I think,
Okay.
I think that everyone in this room agrees with you and hears you about what Doug and the attorneys have said, is that we can't use that as a basis to deny.
I understand that.
But there's one already there. It hasn't been denied. We
I know.
continue using that. We just don't have to.
It's about every neighborhood. Like, look,
Stop.
We cannot have 3 people talking at once.
Well, please don't scream at people.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying-
Order, please. It's obvious that we have a hot button issue. I also, just to reel it back in, the two issues at hand are the exception to allow the poll and the variance to increase the height. What is there is not going away. So, I mean, with that being said, yes, I mean, I take in every point. I mean, every point is well taken, concerning every issue, you know, whether it's bees, health, noise. At the same time, I think that there are issues, there are specific. You have to deny on certain grounds. Is that what you were trying to say, Doug?
I'm just trying to make,
But there's
So-
already one there.
so I'm just trying to make it so that one court reporter, who I have appeared in front of court reporters for 4 decades now, does not have to go crosstalk, because no one can identify people because they're all talking at the same time. So if you would please just wait for the person to stop, identify yourself, make your statement. Whoever wants to talk after that, do the same thing, so we have a nice clean record for everybody. Now, yes, back to the mayor's question, we do have to deny these things based on certain criteria.
And yeah, I will say, in their presentation for the special exception, you know, everything is outlined as to what has been addressed. that being the zoning, the compatibility according to FAA. And as you noted probably in Kevin's statement, he was surprised that there was no lighting required at the time because it is dark. So that was another concern. We do have two, notes that are going into the record, one being Kevin, who also, just a couple of questions he had, that was one. And also the concerns of the properties that were abutted, which was DOT and the canal. The other issue was the flood zone, which would go into site plan. And then the other was from Justin Saunders, which has been entered into the record. You have both of those. And he had some of the similar concerns, with the school and the animals and the zoo. So just to duly note, that those have been entered and there were some concerns there. Now, in terms of reasons to deny, according to them, it's a minimal environmental impact.
Based on what evidence?
Based
on what science, biological and ecological, as well as human health science. Where the scientists representing their side were not hired and paid by them.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm trying to put together two, yes, sir.
So what I wanna say is, there's all, Clara McCutcheon, thank you, there's already a tower there, there's already coverage there, nothing's being denied, but we're denying is another tower. So if AT&T decides they are gonna pay this person, and they're gonna put even a bigger tower, and then another, one of the other phone companies, before we know it, how many towers can be, there's already one, they can access it. It's been working, it works fine, nobody in Glen Ridge has issues with coverage, it's just someone that's trying to make money and doesn't really care about what she looks out for, as long as they put the money in their pocket, we're not.
Understood, right now.
So, I know, it doesn't bother me, it's.
Well, I mean, I have no people on.
The truth.
No, I just want to let everybody know.
Sorry, hold on.
I'm sorry. No, I just don't. David Cholak, Long Beach Outdoor Advertising. David Cholak, CHOLAK.
Thank you.
The reason, we're not getting any additional money from the tower. The antennas and the cables attached to the billboard over the course of the last 17 years, however long it's been, has caused a lot of maintenance issues for us. It seemed like a really good idea in the beginning, but, you know, we've run into a lot of maintenance problems with the billboard as a result of all the cables being attached to it. We're not able to go up there and paint it efficiently. We're not able to fix rust with, you know, any issues that come up on it. There's been a lot of complications. And so, I came to an understanding with Diamond that I would give them an additional few hundred square feet at no cost. If as long as they built a tower at their cost immediately behind the billboard, so that we could just part ways and just they have their freestanding tower that belongs to them and they maintain it. And we have our billboard back, you know, free and clear of any cables and antennas. And we are not getting one penny from this. Not a penny from this arrangement.
May I be heard?
Yes.
Just to kind of circle up on that, you know, obviously the improvements themselves, right? That adds to tax base because that is a structure that's been attached to land and gets assessed. So
We don't do assessments.
Okay. The property don't live in that law. Okay,
but the property appraiser calculates it for what it's worth and it's there and available. Circling back around also, you know, as you heard from a lease standpoint, which I try to stay focused on zoning, right? And the zoning facts are that we're literally talking 35 feet at most of additional height. We're talking an additional, just one additional pole that is located as close as possible. We're talking a separation from the nearest residential properties of 5.1 times the tower height and 4.69 times the tower height. So to give an example on that, Collier County, their required separation is 1 times tower height. Hillsborough County, 1 times. You can't find higher. Orlando has a 7 times tower height unless you make it a 100 and whatever foot tall tree, and then it becomes 2.5 times. And at this height, Orange County, their residential separation is 5 times tower height. Just to give perspective on residential separation, since you don't have those standards written into your code, because this isn't something that normally comes along. Now, there was a concern about the DOT. The DOT does rent spaces for cell towers. So when they do that, they treat themselves as their own county. So they sign the lease and they, you know, if you're saying you get to build whatever you want to build, you know, we say that you can build this, right? So, and then it comes for local permit review. So just circling back to those facts, as you've heard, the side that I can't talk about, the operation standpoint that led to this, right? Instead of trying to Frankenstein some additional height onto the tower, right? And continuing this headache for a landlord, right? Coordinating the maintenance and everything, trying to make that all work. The idea is just that you build along something very minimal alongside it. And I would respectfully submit that this, even if, you know, we might sit here and say, oh, I can walk outside and I can take a call, right? There was a discussion about T-Mobile service being fine, but what I showed you were Verizon Maps. Yes,
What that signal?
but
That's
So-
hard.
the
Say no.
I sincerely doubt that my humble undertakings rise to the level of obtaining divine intervention. But anyways, the reason that this moves forward isn't because Diamond says, wow, we'd like a new tower there. The reason that this is going forward, you have the operational standpoint that you heard, but the other side of that coin is that the carriers are saying they have an insufficiency. They get that from the data that they pull from the individual devices that connect to them.
Okay. Clara, you had something.
So the owner of the, Clara McCutcheon again, the owner of the property says he's not making any money of this, but he has to, because I'm certain that they're not letting T-Mobile have those antennas up
They're
there.
not making any additional.
Right, so,
Good.
you know, the people here that have to, 35 feet is 3.5 story taller. That's a big deal. There's areas in this, in Martin County where you can't even build above 4 stories right now. Move that tower to Fairfield, so it's a county park. They'll allow, they can make the money off of it. But don't put it in our backyard and, you know, ruin our views.
I have a question, Hillary James, council member. Property owner and or Diamond, do you guys have any idea, what's the lease agreement with? What lease agreement does Diamond have with you all?
There was a,
I'm sorry, your name was it.
David Shaw. There, at one point, the Sprint, Nextel was the first carrier that came on board. I think it was in '05, and then shortly after that, T-Mobile came along, and then Metro PCS. So for many years, from about 2008 until around 2015, there were actually 3 sets of antennas on there. Now there's only 1. So there were 3 sets of antennas up there for years. And there was a breakup in the company, and one of the partners wanted to retire. And so we sold the rights to any future income in 2015. We sold the rights to any future income from any antennas to a third party, to a company that buys out, long-term leases. So we have not received any income since that one payout. And that was a payout that went towards one of the partners so that they could, because they wanted to retire. I couldn't object to it. So, I came to an understanding with the partner, we sold the rights to all the income in 2015. And since for the last 10 years, we've not collected a penny, and we're never gonna get any money from this going forward. So from our perspective, the antennas and the cables there, are, like I was saying earlier, are causing multiple maintenance issues. And, it would just be, and then when I started communicating with people at Dyna, I said, look, if you guys can, if you guys want to build your own tower, take responsibility for it. We're going to maintain responsibility for the billboard. We have a $2 million liability policy, on the billboard and anything attached to it. But as long as they're going to put up a tower, they're a huge company, very reputable, all over the country, hundreds of towers. As long as they're going to build a quality tower and take responsibility for it, and if they're willing to take their equipment off the billboard and put it on that, then please do. We'd love to just to separate the two entities.
I have a question for you as well. In the event that this is a no, and the fact that it's become an annoyance for you to have the antennas there, will you ask them to leave? Will you?
I don't have the right to do that. They have the right to be on that billboard for, I believe, the next 60 years.
That's why I was asking about the lease agreement.
So I don't, even if I wanted, I have no choice but to accommodate them on the billboard.
I think that's important to know.
And if something catastrophic were to happen to the billboard, that responsibility would, of course, we would want to rebuild it. But, it would be different, because now if something were to happen, it would affect the communications antennas on there as well.
Okay.
So the concept of parting ways is, for us, it would be great. And like I said, we haven't collected a penny off in 10 years, and we're never going to till after I'm.
Okay, and
All right, Matt John, and I have Cameron Lee with Diamond Communications here. All right, please state your name and address.
Yep, Kevin Lee, site acquisition manager for Diamond Communications, 75 Northwest First Avenue, Delray Beach, Florida, 33444. Just to kind of back up what he was saying, that is correct. Diamond has a, essentially easement agreement with this property. And basically everything he said, the background of it, that's all. The way this came about was, not only did T-Mobile want to upgrade their equipment on the existing billboard quite a few years ago, the billboard, however, has structural capacity, right? So T-Mobile is not able to upgrade their equipment basically at all on that billboard. And also Verizon wants to, co-locate on that billboard and provide service to the residents. Not every resident here in this town has T-Mobile, right? There's other residents that likely have Verizon or AT&T. So that is kind of how this project came about, right? The height is its own issue. The current height available for even Verizon to co-locate on is not satisfactory to their coverage objective for the area. And so that's kind of how this project came about. And I'm just kind of stating all this to back up what the property.
Pardon, Taylor, Jan, Councilman. So that didn't answer my question about the lease agreement. So what, is there an end date? Or
I don't know the exact date off the top of my head, but like the property owner said, it's for the next.
So Diamond's living
60 years.
on your property.
They're rent free, and it goes on for several decades.
May I? Okay, so without going too deep into the industry, even though it looks like Diamond's living rent free, what happened was a company came in, bought the rights, paid Mr. Cholak's partner, right? So they bought that interest and then they charged Diamond. So Diamond's not sitting here living rent free. by any means. It's just, there isn't a direct line there because there was a ball of money given for retirements.
So basically, Charlotte would like to have his billboard back, but you guys off of it for the most part, but he can't evict you. Is that the story I'm getting?
Oh, yeah, no, I can't.
You can't make them leave.
I have, it's an unbreakable lease. They have every right to be there as long as, and I have an obligation, like I was saying, not only to accommodate their, space on the billboard, but I have an obligation to repair it, in a timely manner, and you got something were to happen to it.
Yeah, clear.
So if we were to deny this, because they have a permit, it's there, we just don't have to grant the variance, and they can grab this and maybe go to John Prince or I'm sorry, to the zoo and ask them if they can go to the county and see if they can put it over there.
Well, it's still gonna be as close to you there as it
Well,
would be here.
it's several 300 feet, and then it won't be in their site, and they don't have.
Kimberly, Diamond Communications, we did approach, the city of West Palm Beach and tried to locate a tower, in the park, and they denied the proposal. But
I wonder, well, wait, if there's a federal law that can't be denied, how did?
they denied a, proposition of a real estate transactional property, so we did not go through zoning or anything, we're not going to building permit, we simply approached them, out of the proposition, we identified locations.
Okay. Hopefully I can put this into more plain speak. Did you try to lease for them?
We did,
Okay, and did they say no?
they said no.
So it ended at real estate.
Okay,
It didn't go any.
Correct.
all right. And how do you know this, Cameron?
We went to their, there was a hearing that we did, not a hearing, a meeting.
Let me stop you. What's your role at Diamond? What do you do there?
So my role at Diamond is I basically identify, suitable properties for wildlife infrastructure, and I manage the real estate, the negotiations essentially with that property owner, whether it's private or public entity.
Okay. With that, colloquially, I've heard of a term called a site acquisition agent. Okay. Is it safe if I say you find the sites and you finish them through zoning? And I'm sorry, I'm being heavy-handed. When I was Cameron's age, and I'm sorry, Cameron, I am not trying to pick on your age. I used to love legal lab, and my mentor looked at me and said, "Oh, Matt Tanaya, we're going to break you of that." So I'm sorry to be doing the simplification here. So anyways,
Okay, yeah, Bob,
I just have one.
Bob Jones.
Bob Jones, I'm sorry. Is this RF signal, are we dealing, is this, G5 and all these things, is this RF signal or what kind of signal is this?
okay,
Is it RF or not?
It's radio frequency, it's a form of radio frequency.
It's a form of, but it's not pure RF.
okay, this is Matt Tanaya John again. And basically, it's FM radio. Just like an FM radio station, except a lot lower settings, because you're talking to a walkie. And if you don't want to believe me, I can bring out the engineer in. Well, question for you, Cameron.
Yep.
Just to try to mop up some other things that came along the way. Does Diamond maintain insurance on structures?
Yes, we maintain commercial general liability insurance, in which we list the property owner as additional insured.
And how much does that usually? What's the charge limits? Are we talking 100, 200,000, 1 million, 2 million?
It's typically 1 million, 2 million, but it can go up depending on negotiations with the property owner, but standard is 1 million, 2 million.
Okay. So you mean Diamond maintains insurance on all sites, correct? Thank you.
Can I have a question now?
Yeah.
Layla Ralph, council member.
Ellie,
Are there residents here, like Patrick in the back? Are there residents here that this would like directly affect, like something that you have to look at and see every day, so it would be unsightly, something that you would not like. And can we factor that into our decision, because they're like our actual resident, our town residents?
Okay.
And they're gonna have to stare at this every single day that they come home.
So, Matt and I, John again. I would respectfully submit that you would need to have supporting evidence showing that it would be visible in the record. So,
What would their testimony be sufficient? Because if they see the billboard, so if they see the billboard, I assume they would see.
I would not think so, but because you still have the issue of it, whether it's a fear of seeing it. But if they do want to testify to that extent, I would be asked to be given the opportunity to continue and provide photo simulations and line of sight analyses, which are based upon survey principle. That would allow me to show on an engineering level, like with precision, what the visibility would be.
Yes,
That way we're dealing.
Clarification again, okay, there is a permit currently there, it's at a level, we don't have to apply for a variance, the city of West Palm said they can't even put it over there, so. That's better off than not applying to them,
well, no, that was a real estate.
Real
issue.
estate.
That had nothing to do with,
but
What?
according to the federal law, they can put it anywhere they want, they have to provide regardless. It's already there, there's a permit, there's a height, we don't have to prove the variance for the height, so these people can say, well, it's not gonna affect them or, no, they can see that, they're gonna be able to see that. Common sense tells you it's gonna be 3.5 stories taller than what's there now. I mean,
point taken. And I can hear again, I mean, I
you
reflect
have
back.
to look at the cops one run and now this on their back.
Yeah,
Taylor Jim, Patrick, hey.
Yeah.
Can you see the current billboard from your home?
Yeah. Yeah.
In Justin's letter, did he state, his claim that he could see the current billboard from his home, and is that one of his, worries?
No.
It wasn't?
no.
But he would have been here, he got one.
Yeah, I was gonna like, he stated it.
Yeah. Well, where do we go from here, Doug?
We either buzz it or we allow her to bring in some evidence on her side because I'm getting unrebutted testimony from people who aren't even here right now. That's like Pat here said.
Well, I'm looking at, the council here and I need to know what your pleasure is, because you guys make the decisions.
So we need to vote on two things. We need to vote on
Well, we
a special request as well as a
we don't
variance.
vote, we don't vote variances unless there's a special exception. So, I mean, if the hole's allowed, then you worry about the variance, the height, it depends on,
May I be heard?
yes.
If the council feels that additional analysis is standing between them, standing between you and a vote to approve, I would request a continuance so I can provide alongside analyses and such. And I would also provide some information on a section of federal law called section 6409 at the top of the Middle Class Tax Relief Act, which allows existing structures to be extended 20 feet with less height of antennas administratively without zoning approval. So you're looking at 39 versus 28.
That's there. But
What's your pleasure?
So
Do you want to continue it? Do you want to vote? What do you want to do? Who wants to do it?
I'll make the vote.
I need a vote. Well,
I think the problem is if you vote and you deny it without allowing her to continue it, you might have trouble. I would think the safer course of action legally is to, now that we have introduced testimony of people looking at towers, for her to actually have a chance to rebut those. So, yeah, I would vote on the continuance issue first.
Okay, I will vote for a continuance then.
make the motion.
And motion for a continuance.
For Diamond to have continued time to
Rebut and
rebut.
Like for me, I
Provide more
provide,
information.
like the visual, like I would like to know the residents are not gonna be affected by it visually. And have it like negatively impact them in that way.
We have
I have a motion, we have a second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Can I say something? Continue it, in favor? Okay. Motion carries, continuance,
Next meeting.
for the next meeting to come back with.
Additional information.
Matt and I, John, if I may, if I could just have a continuance to a date uncertain, it gives me time to make sure that I get this right.
Okay.
And we'll renotice
To a date uncertain,
and we're willing to pay for the renotice.
then we can respond with whatever we need to, if there's something that we want to rebut with, or next, we can do that.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. All right. Moving along. Thank you. You guys need a second to get.
Yeah. You're done with your stuff before I tear this down.
No, you can go right ahead. You wanna take 5 guys and let them get. Yeah, I'll take 15. We'll start back at 8:20, just give them time to get their things together. No. Clara? No, Carol. Water, anyone? Water, anybody change their mind? Water, anyone? Just water. Thank you. Well, water, Patrick. Thank you. What? No, I don't. Gotta hurry up. Pass that go.
Yeah, you got fully.
Anybody else?
Okay, so next one, my son, Sharon, you're gonna be figured out.
Don't rebound. Anybody who is-
Because you have that.
Honey?
Are you gonna go full color and the color were like, you know, so like. Yeah, so I put it when. Yeah. That's cool, it's like within a month. They can use great to have or like, you know, for a toy or something. Yeah, I'm just drawing. So I was looking at the video today, they showed a status flash. It was like,
I was one girl yelling in my class and I graduated at 17 and I ended up with my life.
yeah, and then that's, they feel like toys, like, when you are emotional development and they're.
At that age, when it comes to-
Yeah, so right now, the only thing that's changing is that it's taller, like way taller. I really felt
Go with my nephew.
like,
He went to soccer game and he's like, it's like 7, and, you know, and he's.
yeah,
60.
so he's already.
Well, now, I mean, in Rivers, he went into it now, but I mean, he went to, he was like, oh, I was like 7, and he's like 16 now.
Yeah.
We went, and everybody else is like, this is first.
Just wanted to I just. No, but he was told, but then, I had 3 cakes, so we have 3 cakes, and then also have 3 cakes.
Yeah, did he miss the cut?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's just like, it's house party.
Yeah, so he missed the cut, and it's still in the cut, but he used to be. Oh, when I was growing up, it was like 15. So I made it like 3 weeks, yeah. Yeah, and I had one friend who was like a total fit.
Yeah.
So she and I were like, there's like 4 of us until they got this one. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Oh, you just got one of my best friends, the same week, she got a baby last week. Our baby, we're gonna be afraid of parts.
I know.
I guess.
I have that one.
Are you feeling like still stuck? I think you don't understand, like, you don't know, I can't do
When I used to babysit for her. She had. She was in Ray, and her like right here. She's the one that. I got a time, I got a. This morning, some of her daughters, they went to Norway. I was like, okay, guys, this is great, really. No, it's still on the road. We got cookies.
And thank you so much.
Everything's home.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I say.
There.
Can you make it? It's got a little tight over there. Oh, on your hair.
Yes, it's a new style.
What?
Now- Really?
Go. Hold it back in here. All right, next thing on the agenda is public comment. We have a card.
Patrick? Yeah. Real quick, some questions for the guy. I really gave my daughter a job. And I think I can out by the road. I'm serious. And I think I can out by the road for extended periods of time.
Right now, I don't think we have a.
We really don't have a rule on that. We might
Okay.
end up putting a rule on that. It's not really a tightening thing, and that may end up getting us.
Okay, that,
Given-
that,
given-
no, seriously, because yeah, I love just leave it out on the road all the time. Second question, I'm gonna probably be selling one of my trucks and I'm gonna leave it on the side of like right here in the corner up here. I know Glenridge, as far as Glenridge, I know the guy in the very first corner here at the stop sign, for everybody. So I wanna put my dually out there. We get a for sale sign, is that cool? Can I do that?
As long as the property owner says you can, you can.
Is that right? Okay, that's awesome. One more question.
Gotta be
I've been
licensed.
talking to a neighbor here in the development. I'm not gonna mention names, and he wants to put a pickleball in his front yard. Literally a pickleball court in his front yard. Is that allowable? Should I go back and tell him it's allowable, or what should we do?
Probably,
Yeah?
because.
Then he said they can't. Okay. All right. Yeah, did check in on those issues right here.
Now, if you have the, if you have a vehicle in the yard, it's your yard, it should be licensed and insured, which I think you're talking about one up at the front. John.
Yeah, the average, it was up there for 2 years.
Is it gone?
2 months.
What?
No.
Yeah, another actor that was up for sale, it was up there for 2 months.
And never just sitting at the front.
Yeah, he finally moved it. I don't know where it
We
is.
had a conversation about it.
And, like my little house, right here,
Mhm.
he never takes the trash cans in. When I say never, I'm under exaggerating. I mean, he never pulls.
Well, you know what? I think those were the renters that should be gone.
Not as of 3 days ago, hopefully. The trash cans are still.
But what does that have to do with pulling the trash cans in? I mean, I can bring my house
Oh,
out.
no, I'm just saying, that was not brought to anyone's attention, but no, trash cans, not to me, it's the first I heard of it.
No one knows. But I'll put them by the house one at a time, so.
The other day, I don't know exactly when it was, we can
Avenue. I'm gonna go down the road and the car was coming. And this trash can was literally in the road. It wasn't out by the mailbox. It was in the road. I stopped my car and got out and put it on the, put it by the mailbox.
You just have to, I mean, you're gonna let somebody know. If you let John know, you can notify him and.
I'm asking, is there just a little basic?
There's no ordinance.
There's no ordinance in here, nothing, so maybe.
No, we are contemplating one if the council members ever decide to find some language they like.
Yeah.
I do not make up. one.
Those are all,
Yeah.
so your garbage should go out the night that it gets to be picked up the next day, and then once it's picked up, you should take your garbage cans back in. I go through it with, we have another resident that sometimes has to be reminded, I don't know how many adults live there. You know, I've had to remind them more than once. But you know, here again, those are all things that, yes, that car should.
That car was there, and the grass is dead now, I mean, it was there for 2 months, definitely 2 months, because I have 2 people that.
Well, they have some other things going. There's a stop work order there as well, so.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm only talking about aesthetics. I'm wondering if there should be like maybe just a little bit of oversight.
Well, we have oversight, but we also have, and this is something that did not end up, I mean, we're discussing it in public comment, which maybe if we can.
In council report.
If we can get it off the list, we will do it, but, you know, that's an issue that has been before the council now several times, and even for this meeting, I mean, I came last meeting prepared to discuss tweaking the nuisance ordinance, and I was the only one that was prepared, and we're asked everyone to do some research and send their ideas to John, put something together for this meeting, and we have nothing. So, I think that's something that, you know, it's you guys' town, and you guys make the decisions, and you have to decide, you know, how far you wanna go with it, how you wanna put it in writing. Do you wanna be an HOA? Do you wanna be a police state? Or do you wanna, you know, I mean, ideally, everyone would be a good neighbor, but in the real world, that doesn't happen. So, yeah, can we tweak a few things? Sure.
Just one question.
But here again, once you go down that road, you can't just single out. You can't just decide there's one house that's pissing you off and aggravating the hell out of everybody in town. You set a code for it. You can't just go to that one. You gotta go to any property in town that applies to. So it's a very slippery slope. So sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for, but you also have to be very careful in how far you take these things.
Yeah,
Can we go, I mean, we haven't done this in probably 20 years. When last time we went through the code book, and we did update some things and we tweaked some things. One was restricted and prohibited vehicles, whether it was boats and trailers and that sort of thing, because people have boats, but you don't want them in your yard. You know, so yeah, point well taken, and that is something that.
I agree with exactly everything you said. I want to ask everybody here, even the residents, you guys agree with my point, what I just said?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yes.
And there's,
Yeah.
okay, that's all. That's all I know.
I do, I just picked up my 18 municipality where I'm gonna be a code enforcement officer. I can tell you, a lot of places that I have, I'm finding people for leaving their garbage can out. Because that's written into the code. You can only take it out on trash day, it has to be removed on trash day.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
mean, a lot of people are not supposed to put it out the night before, but practically speaking, the code officers aren't running around the night
Yeah.
before.
Except in certain communities.
Yeah, but that can be written into a code, but I don't write code, I just write it down.
Yeah.
So
Well,
when
here again,
the
this is
politicians on the board decide what to tell me to write down, I put it into legal format, so John can advertise it, and we can bring it back and add it to the code. So that's our job, to take your ideas and make them functional.
Would, can I say something? Would, I mean, I don't know if this is like a thing or not, but would we be able to, I remember that in the committee that we filled that part of thing, but could we like form a committee of residents that maybe would be interested in a nuisance ordinance or if they want to post something? You know,
Can I comment on this?
Yes, go ahead.
So I have many ideas, Alice has ideas, I think we all have ideas. I think it makes most sense to get together collectively, have a quote workshop is what Alice would like to say. Or you could just email John. I have a whole list that talk about, you can't park your car in the grass for extended period of times. You can't leave your trash cans out. You can't have accumulation of junk. trash.
Well, that's.
There's, I have many things, but if you have the ideas, and Patrick, I hear you, I hear a lot of people here. We just have to put it in words, what Alice is saying, what Doug is saying, we can't just like have these conversations and then not write it down. I will take responsibility of getting this in writing to John and workshopping it with Alice. If you have any
workshopping with the council.
or together, yeah, if you have further ideas or something that hasn't been stated thus far, please let one of us know if you have a concern, so we can write it down.
And like I said, the last meeting, you know, there was information, I mean, you know, there's so much information out there just because of, you know, the Municode, you can go on, I mean, every bit of this is from other towns, and all I did was Google the nuisance ordinances for a number of other communities in the state of Florida, and you come up with things that other people are doing. Some work, some don't. But there's plenty of information out there. There's plenty of people that have, you know, done the work ahead of us. It's just a going through, picking and choosing what works for us and what wording it and putting it in a format so that it's not Gestapo type, but it's common sense type.
Yes.
And it's easy to enforce and without being overbearing, cruel, unusual punishment, but just expecting people to be good neighbors.
Consideration. That's it, yeah.
I built my house here.
I agree with all the points you just made, but it is impossible for us to think about every possible thing that someone could do. Because the things that have been done of late are things that the average person, homeowner would not consider. If you said to the average homeowner, where are you gonna put the basketball court? Most people would say, probably on the side of my house or in the back.
That's right.
So we have to, it's impossible for us to think outside the box, which is why I think Clara had an idea of forming a committee, and so did Patrick. That if they could do some oversight and make recommendations, not have voting power, but just do some oversight, a subcommittee to be watching out, and before we approve everything should be approved. Even if it's not in the code, it should come before the council.
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
Can't do that.
You cannot do
There's
that.
no
You
way-
there's no way you can have arbitrary standards
No.
that apply differently to different
You've
people.
got to have.
Not only the base process, you have to have,
I hear you.
you have to have laws that are written down that are not so vague that they can't be interpreted. They have to be.
But the
something
inherent flaw with that, and I totally defer to you on that, is that it's impossible for us to think about.
Well, it's not a perfect world.
It's
No,
not a
it's
perfect
impossible.
world, and
Yes, Claire.
what happens is you just have to do it after that first person makes it a mess.
It's just what we're dealing with now, with the Costco building and the recent.
That's what
It's like we're always.
The permit is for a basketball court. We had no way to say that they could not do.
Right, but it's
So-
like we're reacting.
I'm reacting, I don't give
No,
a.
just in terms, well, certain residents, including me, are saying we're reacting and saying.
It's not finished, you don't know, he might have a fantasy.
Permit.
Nice.
The permit is for a concrete slab. Period.
And if you want a slab, they can have a slab, and if you want pipes and lines on that slab, oh my goodness.
Clara,
I don't think we have to create, anything we were just talking about. We have, town that, like ours, not as accommodating as ours is. Kind of like a play guide, we can see what they have and tweak it to benefit us. But I do agree that we don't know what people are gonna come up with or what they're gonna do. Maybe set some guidelines, like, you know, there's so many of us that keep our houses so nice. so
Absolutely.
neat, But then there's other people that have trash everywhere in the front. And it's a horrible thing to have to look at. And I think, you know, writing something with an oversight committee would be great. But we don't have to recreate it. We can just get ask for public records from Lake Park Shore.
Like I said, it doesn't have to
Ask for public records.
Oh,
All you have to do is go to your Unicode.
We-
No, stop for a
Yeah,
second.
there's,
All you have to do is go on that Unicode, find out whatever jurisdiction you like. I like Royal Palm because that's my main client in this, but you can find the hard ones. If you want to go to Palm Beach, you can find the easy ones. If you want to go.
Woodland Park is a good one. I mean, just go to Florida and just plug in cities and plug in their
But what
nuisance.
really, you know, you want to start
And
out.
then you gotta find a nuisance,
Nice
you gotta
and
find
easy.
junk, you gotta find,
All of this stuff,
So,
Then you just have to pull it out and tell us.
okay, we can talk about this all night, but then we'll be here all night.
Yeah.
So, recommendation at this point, Taylor has appointed herself as the,
Liaison to the.
nuisance code czar.
Give me a call, send me a text, give me your point.
At
There's
this
something that we
point-
want to discuss tonight.
At this point, any ideas? Send them to Taylor. Taylor will
Get it to John.
put
We'll
some
have-
things together. We'll have something to discuss at the next meeting. Council members, I encourage you to send your ideas to John. You can get them to Taylor or send them to Taylor. And, we'll try and tweak this because it needs to go in the issue graveyard because it's getting beat to death and it's aggravating the hell out of me too. So, everybody fine with that?
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, Taylor. Next, approval of the agenda. I guess so at this point. Okay, here we go. Approval of the minutes for August. They've been distributed. Any additions, deletions, corrections? Need a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Minutes approved. Finance report. Any questions for Mr. Finance?
We have one more month left in the fiscal year and we're still a good $50,000 in net.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Thanks to self-storage.
Yeah. Ability permit. Okay. Mayor's report. The next League of Cities is September 24th in North Palm. If anyone's interested from the council, be sure an RSVP or let John know.
Is that the country club?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was at the country club last year. It's lovely.
that's a good one. I don't know if I'll go. That's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
70th birthday.
Oh, wait.
Well, it's much before your Wednesday dinner.
70,
Also, the CCAN meeting is, for airport is Thursday, the 11th. I will attend that. And other than that, I don't have anything else that will not be covered elsewhere. Council reports. Anyone?
Said my piece already.
Okay, attorney's report,
Nothing, thank God.
correspondence, nothing.
Question about correspondence.
Yes.
For the letters that, Kevin and Justin wrote, is that John has to, like, you don't need to like read them in detail, but I would love to see like their thoughts.
Yeah, well, they just came in this afternoon.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, but they'll probably record, you can get it. I thought that was-
I'll forward them.
Just to see what
Go
their
forward.
thoughts were, you know?
Okay, John, clerk's report.
You can read
Remember quickly.
All right. Old business, I think we covered most of that. New business. Solid Waste Authority. Hang on. We're almost there, guys.
This is a memorandum of understanding that solid.
Hello, okay, come on, we wanna finish.
I'm not gonna compete. This is a memorandum of understanding the solid waste authority is looking for communities to approve. It has a no application for us. It mainly lists where the dump sites are for debris during a hurricane,
And we are not one of them.
and we're not one of them. So
So we normally approve these things just to be nice. to the
Yeah, so we need a motion.
hearing. Oh, I don't know, hearing no objection, we'll sign it.
Yeah, we'll just sign.
Why don't we do just a simple motion to approve that? Just, I like the cleanness of that. right?
All right.
Solid waste.
Creative memorandum of understanding.
Second, please.
All in favor? So moved. Motion carries. All right, we'll sign that. Next is the FDIQ. This is pretty good. Investment opportunity. John.
This is something you have in your folder that was not on the website because I just got it. This is a program that's just beginning in the state of Florida. It's approved through the state finance office. Currently, we have plus or minus $700,000 in Synovus